Now I'd like to welcome the 4 candidates for Collier County Commission District 3 to the stage. And our Vice President Tana Page has some questions for you, and it'll be timed by Claire Simonelli. So welcome. Oh, thank you.
Mr. Johnson, you're down. There you go.
I'm back up, ready to fight.
Well, we're getting ready to be bold, so get ready.
Here we go. We may weeble, we're going to wobble. I guess we're going to roll over again.
Welcome, candidates. We're glad you're here, and we're going to allow everyone to have 2 minutes to introduce yourselves, and then there will be 5 questions. And if there is time at the end, we'll have a Q&A from the audience, and we may ask some more questions and go out where the wild things are and ask some crazy questions. We'll have an ending of 1 minute each at the conclusion, and we will rotate where we start. And let me thank Claire Simonelli for being our timekeeper. The questions will, other than the introduction of 2 minutes, the questions, you'll have 1 minute each to answer the questions. So I will begin with Mr. Johnson. I have 2 minutes for you to do your introduction, starting now.
My name is John C. Johnson.
Use the mic.
Is this better? Again, my name's John C. Johnson. I'm originally from Chicago. Been a businessman my entire life. Came down here in Florida in 2007. Thank God the economy was crap. It was very good for me. I had a pile of money, so I bought a bunch of real estate, went and remodeled it, got a license contractor, painting contractor down here for 40 years. There's some people in the room here that I have worked for. They know I do a good job. I show up on time, answer the phone, same thing I will do as your Collier County Commissioner. I will be there, I will answer the phone, I will make sure your services are taken care of, and I'm just looking forward to serving. I am officially on the ballot. I have over 120 hours of putting to get these petitions. It's brutal, but it is done. I turned them in today. And with these all these gated communities, you can't go door to door. Living in the States, it's kind of hard to go door to door. So I stand in front of Publix and Ace and say, hi, how are you? Would you like to sign my petition? So it takes plenty of time, but I did the due diligence and it's done. And I thank you very much for having me here today.
We appreciate that. Thank you. Mr. Roberts, you may begin.
Thank you. My name is Frank Roberts. I'm also a candidate for District 3 County Commissioner as well. I grew up in Columbus, Ohio, the middle child of 5, son of a fireman, very disciplined, hard work ethic environment growing up, got a football scholarship in college, and then came down here first for law school at Ave Maria School of Law in 2012. I graduated a little bit early in December of 14 and went active duty in the Air Force 6 years as a judge advocate. Did everything I could to keep the Air Force safe, legal, and operational, including a deployment to Djibouti, Africa. After my time in the Air Force, we came to a critical juncture to decide whether to stay in that service or to do what's best for our 3 daughters, and that was to get out and come here to Collier County again. My 3 daughters and my wife and I we're all lifelong Republicans, voted on every ballot that way. We live at the corner of Pine Ridge and Collier Boulevard in the estates, raising chickens and teaching conservative values to the next generation on. So I'm running because I believe I'm the best candidate to continue Collier's conservative bend and to speak out on the issues that are important both here locally and nationally, because national issues begin here locally.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Commissioner Saunders.
Thank you very much. My name is Burt Saunders. I'm the current resident of District 3 on the County Commission, and I'm seeking re-election. I want to thank the Women's Republican Club for sponsoring this, and Chris Hall, great comments. I want to take a little tag off of something you said. You said words matter. And I want to say experience matters as well. And I've been around for a long time. I think everybody in this room has seen me at some form or some event over the years. And I want to take a little bit of an exception to something that Tag Yarnell has said in some brochures that are out. And it says that, he's talking about, it's clear that the voters in District 3 are ready for a change. And it says they want a true conservative who will represent their values, not a career politician who has spent the better part of the past 38 years bouncing from one political office in government job to the next. Well, I admit that I have bounced around. I was on the county commission and wound up representing this great county in the Florida legislature and then this region in the Florida Senate for 10 years. And I bounced around because the voters knew my record and they kept electing me to these positions. And they elected me because of my experience and because of my work ethic and because I produce results. Today, I'm going to be speaking at the neighborhood clinic. You're probably all familiar with that. Well, I'm one of their honored guests. And the reason I'm an honored guest there is because 25 years ago, when I was in the Florida legislature, they needed a change to the law so that their doctors that volunteer there could volunteer without fear of being sued for malpractice. Most of the doctors and nurses were retired. So I spent quite a bit of time changing Florida's sovereign immunity statute so that they could keep the neighborhood clinic moving and provide literally thousands and thousands of people with good health care. Yesterday, I was at a thing.
Time.
Oh, all right, I'll finish up in a few minutes.
We now know why you have been in so many offices. That was very good. Thank you. Mr. Yarnell.
Good afternoon, everyone, and I want to thank you for having me here today. I also want to thank Commissioner Saunders for introducing me prior to me speaking. However, I do believe it's time for a change. I believe that conservative principles in Collier County is what we're made of. I watched Commissioner Saunders' voting habits throughout the last couple of years. I know where he stands. I am a true constitutional Christian conservative. That's what I stand for. That's why I want to be here. I believe that change can be made not from the top down, but locally and effectuate change. We want to keep Collier the way it is. I have lived in Collier County since 1979. I've been a lifelong conservative Republican. I've raised and am raising 4 sons in conservative values. My beautiful wife works in a Christian ministry, EB. She's my biggest supporter, and she's part of the reason why I'm here. I said all along that Collier County needed a change, and we need to keep Collier, a little bit of that glimmer of Collier that I remember when I was 9 years old, still here. And I believe that I am the person to do it. I've operated businesses here. I'm a lawyer of 25 years, have my own firm. I've been a partner there since, I believe, 2002. Been with the same organization. I've ran other businesses here, and I am here not for me. I am here for the people of Collier County, and I am here to serve, not my own interests, but your interests. And I appreciate your time, and I hope that you will take some of my information out there when you leave. Read up on me, call me, ask me questions. I'm an open book. I've been here, and I'm ready to lead. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yarnell. We will start with the questions now, and we'll start this time with Mr. Roberts, and you will have 1 minute each to answer the questions. Mr. Hall, Commissioner Hall, was so informative that we may repeat some of the things that he said, but here we go. Question number 1. Do you think the recently published debt load of over $640 million, which was published from the Collier Clerk's Office, and thank you for that information. It's on the screen behind you. Dated 12/23, by the way, is reasonable. Why or why not?
Well, anytime you step into debt, you have to do it for a specific purpose. And so long as there's a specific purpose that's going to benefit the community, I'm not necessarily opposed to that. However, if it's going to result in the need to raise taxes across the board, that's not okay in of itself, because we believe as conservatives that money is best spent by you and not by the government, because you recognize your needs better than any government agent could in of itself. So yes, debt is okay, and it will take debt in order to complete some of these larger projects that are required for improving traffic or for addressing affordable housing. But we need to be careful that it won't necessitate taxes on top of it.
Commissioner.
There are standards for the amount of debt that any local government or state government can have and still be within margins of safety. Collier County is way below any area where we'd be in any kind of debt trouble because of the amount of debt, even though $640 million sounds like a lot of money. Most of that debt is being paid off with impact fees. Most of it is for road construction. I'll give you one example, Vanderbilt Beach Road. It's about a $120 million project. It's not fair for just us in this room to pay for that whole project that's going to serve the public for 30 or 40 or 50 years. It's fair to spread that out so that the future residents will be paying their fair share. But I assure you, there is nothing in that debt that is inappropriate, and it certainly is well within any accounting procedures to make sure that we're not exceeding those debt limits that are very restrictive on local governments.
Thank you. First off, I'd just like everyone to know the overall budget is $2,848,939 and $400. So it's large. What is interesting is that also represents a 5.27% increase from the 2022-2023 budget. I commend the conservative members of our county commission who has actually taken it upon themselves to start asking the different divisions of government or the different operations to start tightening their belt. What we need to do is start looking at each one of these sections, section by section, and not just ask about where we can cut funds, but demand it. Say, we need to know where we can become more lean. I would say that we need to still prioritize public safety and also our infrastructure. Those projects that are going on, we're not going to stop those. We do need to be fiscally responsible about future projects. And I would say that, once again, I want to be the fifth member of that county commission with conservative values to try to keep your dollars in your pockets rather than as a tax. And I'm staunchly against additional taxes. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson.
There's one thing I like about debt, and that's not having it. I don't ever think we should be in debt. That means you did a piss poor job because you didn't manage the money accordingly. When I'm in business, I've never been in debt. Debt costs money. You have to pay interest on debt. There's nothing good about debt. To me, you didn't do your job properly to create the debt in the first place. So I like nothing about debt.
Thank you, sir. We will now go to question 2, and we will start with Commissioner Saunders. It's sort of ironic that we're starting with you on this one. What is your impression of the planning for the conversion of the Golden Gate Golf Course to various workforce/senior housing accommodations? What would you do differently?
When I ran for the county commission in 2016, I wanted to improve the quality of life in Golden Gate City. About 25,000 people living in 4 square miles on septic and sewer. I made sure that the county took over their water and sewer system. I also made sure that the county acquired the golf course and will maintain that as a golf course. We now have a partnership with Arthrex to do a high-quality golf course there. We're going to have a first-quality, first tee facility there for our kids. We're going to have, as Commissioner Hall has said, about 380 units of workforce housing on a piece of that property. We're going to have the Veterans Museum there. We're going to have the Veterans Nursing Home there. That's a project I've been working on for 4 or 5 years. We're making great use of that property. And I'm really proud of the County Commission in supporting the Veterans Nursing Home, the Veterans Senior Services Facility, the Veterans Museum, and the golf course and workforce housing on that property. It was a great investment for this community.
I would state that I believe it's a great project as well. And I would also commend Commissioner Hall for the actions that he's taken over his time in office to get this as chair of the committee to get these type of projects moving. I would state that we need many more of these, and I think we need to start looking around the county for either underutilized or abandoned types of properties to be able to develop. The only thing that I would say in regard to the community as stands, you said anything different, I would say that the density, I wish it could have been a little bit more because we need so many more of these types of houses. I am against subsidizing these types of houses. I think there are other ways to get there through higher density projects, mixed use, and using public land. And I would say that I don't call it either workforce or affordable. I call it more that we need more attainable housing. And that's across the board here in Collier County.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Johnson.
I think the project's wonderful. I've been to a couple meetings on it. They're doing a great job. Unfortunately, with everything in Collier County, it takes too long. It's going to be quite a while before it's even done. A lot of the money, I believe, is coming from charities for some of that golf stuff that's going in there. I think Pro One or something for the kids. First Tee, is that what it's called? First Tee, and it's all charitable. I guess Arthrex is involved in it, which with their money should help substantially. I don't really see anything wrong with the project, except it's taken too long.
Thank you.
So my first campaign platform is to put families first on here. And any time that we can help the families get out of a rental apartment and into a home, that's a positive thing. I do remember when I was in law school, that many years ago, that exact corner at the corner of Golden Gate Boulevard and Collier Boulevard was the exact same way as it is now, with a kind of dilapidated, rundown building. Your people coming in and out of there. When you talk about doing things for families, it's not just building these houses. It's not just building studio apartments. It's making sure these service workers also have place for their families as well. And so I would simply caution that it's not just the singles or anything. I think Tag hit it on the head. It's getting to the attainable housing. There's great programs out there, especially the SHIP program that works as a loan for people to help with their down payments in order to get them out of the rentals and into home ownership that they would pay back in full if they move and sell the house at a greater value at that point. There's also federal programs out there that I think we need to promote more so in order to reach that attainable housing.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to the next question, and we will begin with Mr. Yarnell. This question involves traffic. I know you're surprised we're asking a traffic question.
In Collier County? No.
Yeah, in Collier County. With traffic increasingly dense in Collier County, this is real easy. What is your plan to remedy the situation, including the on and off ramps to 75?
That's a very interesting question, and it's not quite as easy as you say it is.
I know that. I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah. Well, first off, we all know that traffic is a huge problem here. The east-west corridors, north-south on 75, you see it on Immokalee Road all the time. They're talking about that diverging diamond interchange that, while I think it's a great idea and I've seen it work in other cities, it's not going to alleviate the concern of Immokalee Road until 75 is widened, okay? All you're gonna do is have an interchange that'll get you to that backed up traffic quicker. And you'll be waiting faster. So in regard to that, I think that they have done some studies. They have started going into the timing of lights, especially in the seasonal traffic, which have alleviated some concerns. Also, full flow through traffic in the right lanes rather than turn only. They've done that on Immokalee Road. I think that needs to be looked at throughout the county. And then Finally, one thing that leads into probably the developments aspect of it, I think you need, in these pockets of communities, you need more commercial. You have to have Publix, you have to have Lowe's, you have to have things like that, so people aren't traveling all the way across the county to get to what they need to live their lives. And I think if you have that, that would help out a lot.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Mr. Johnson.
The biggest problem with the traffic situation is the gated communities. They should have never been allowed. There's way too many of them. I had this conversation before. The most expensive land in Naples, Port Royal, Royal Harbor, Old Naples, everything, they're not gated. You have 53 gated communities on Immokalee between 75 and Oil Well alone. How do they get home? Off of Immokalee Road. Over 100,000 people have to use Immokalee just to get to their gated communities. Another 100,000 that have to use Immokalee Road to get to their houses and estates. I think the way you stop this is with the growth, conservation. Go out there, buy 5 acres, 10 acres. How many parks do we have? I don't see very many parks with swings where kids can go, everything else. That then would stop the building. We have to stop building, and through conservation, we can stop building. We can put parks in places. They don't have to be huge parks, but a little 4 or 5 acre park with swing sets, little batting cages, different things for kids to do. That would definitely alleviate some of the traffic.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts.
So I battle the traffic every day. I go down Pine Ridge Road to my work, and the thing that frustrates me most is seeing garbage trucks at peak hours of rush down Pine Ridge Road delaying traffic. And, you know, we love our kids in the schools, but the school buses stopping along Collier Boulevard back things up as well. If you're in the States, Golden Gate Boulevard is just understaffed, and it's going to get worse with the town of Big Cypress going up off of DeSoto Boulevard. So when you talk about doing studies on Immokalee Road 3 years ago and just implementing changes now, like changing the lights, we need to be more aggressive. The infrastructure is at least 10 years behind now. We need to be more aggressive about addressing these needs now. And it includes putting on the table, you know, the shifting the schedules of the garbage trucks to Saturdays or the school buses to more earlier hours to manage the traffic, but also, you know, trying to work with maybe federal officials to get DeSoto Boulevard down there to link up with Alligator Alley, or something to divert people away from the east-west direction and more in the north-south so they can get to where they need to go more effectively. And let's be real too, we've had a significant boom in people in population here in Collier County. And with that significant boom, there's new developments and there's new traffic flow. And we need to study county-wide where the traffic is going, where the congestion is happening, and address those needs specifically, and not just in little points where we think it is happening. And not saying that Immokalee Road isn't busy, but it's all over the county.
Time, Mr. Roberts. Thank you. Very informative, Commissioner Saunders.
Thank you. No doubt, Immokalee Road, Pine Ridge Road, Vanderbilt Beach Road, the traffic is really heavy and really bad. I wasn't successful. I did try to get a moratorium on some new development on Vanderbilt Beach Road and Immokalee Road. And philosophically, I think the board just simply didn't agree with that type of a restriction. But at the same time that we had that discussion, we directed staff to implement a variety of improvements on Immokalee Road and to be more aggressive with the Florida Department of Transportation in getting funding for the interchange at Immokalee Road, the interchange at Pine Ridge Road, doing the divergent diming, doing all those things. We have literally probably $500 million in road projects that are underway right now, Vanderbilt Beach Road being the biggest. We're not going to get rid of garbage trucks. We're not going to get rid of school buses, but we are going to continue to make improvements on all of our roadway. Now, it takes money to do that, and you can't slash taxes every year, year after year after year, and think that we're going to be able to address these problems. Real quickly, when I got elected in 2016, the county was $1.5 billion in shortfalls on infrastructure, mostly roads. We're catching up, but it takes some time. And I think we'll get there over the next couple of years, especially with what the Florida Department of Transportation is doing on I-75, what they're going to do with the interchange at Immokalee and I-75 and the interchange at Pine Ridge and 75.
Okay, everybody check your cell phones now.
It wasn't mine.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, we're going to start with you with question 4. Is the Collier Sheriff's Office fully staffed? This is a multiple part question. Is all crime publicly reported? And if so, how is it reported?
The sheriff's department is severely understaffed. Kevin and I had a conversation about that at a Rotary meeting. I believe he's somewhere around 400 deputies short. The problem is payroll. I think a new sheriff starts out at $50,000. Who's gonna live in Collier County on $50,000? The other problem that he has is the other counties try and steal his good help. They come in, they want to pay him just like a good business person would do. You would go and find a good deputy or a good sheriff, and you're going to snatch him up out of here by giving him a little bit more money. And I had talked to Kevin about it. I said, when I get elected, the first thing we want to do is look at your budget to increase it so that we can get the proper people in here, keep the good people that we have, and pay them a prevailing wage. I believe the firefighters start at $65,000 a year. So there's quite a parity in wages. The next thing is reporting of crime. It's funny you say that because right in our district on 951, where the 8 Ball Lounge is, there is stabbings there every weekend. You never hear a word about it. There was other things that we keep secret because, you know what, we have to have tourism. If this is a bad place to live, who's gonna come here? The other thing with, to show you that, when we had the red tide situation here in 2018, they had that motel index that you could get a motel on 41 for $79. Now they think they're around $1,000 because people are coming here. But the crime definitely does not get reported, I think, because of the fact of tourism. You know, you can't probably publish it. You know, they're getting arrested, they're going to jail, but you definitely don't hear about it.
I think that many of us know that, and we did let you go over time, so we will let other people go over time if they need that. We think this is an important question. Okay, Mr. Roberts?
Yeah, so if the Collier County Sheriff Office needs more officers, if they need more budget in order to keep our communities safe, then they should absolutely get there. And we should absolutely get them there within the means of the budget itself. Again, you know, Commissioner Hall stated that we finally balanced the budget and didn't raise property taxes on Collier County residents. That's a good step, and I don't want to raise taxes because you need to keep the money in your pocket, especially in these difficult economic times as well. So we got to be responsible. When it comes to reporting crimes, they have to fulfill their law enforcement purposes, report the bookings, turn it into the judge and the county systems as well, going through there. So is the reporting more so on the law enforcement and their short staffing and their budget shortfalls, or is it more so, you know, other things? If it's, I don't think the sheriff's department is is underreporting purposefully for tourism dollars or anything like that. I trust their judgment, especially in District 3, where there are higher crimes area, in reporting things appropriately, because families are living out there, and a lot more families are buying up estates properties and trying to get to the places where they can afford to live.
Thank you. Commissioner Saunders, do you think the commission could loan the sheriff's office some money? That's what it sounds like they need.
I think if we're very careful, as Commissioner Hall has said, with our budgeting, then yes. But I will tell you, the most important function of government, of Collier County government in particular, is protecting our safety, protecting us from crime. I don't care how beautiful the beaches are, how great the weather is. If you don't feel safe in your homes, if you don't feel safe on the streets, you don't have a high quality of life. Commissioner Hall is our chairman. He'll also advise that we have fully funded the sheriff's request every year that I've been on the county commission. And I've asked the sheriff multiple times, as recently as a few weeks ago, if you need more money, you need to tell us, because we're in the budget process now. I guarantee you, the sheriff is very aggressive in getting the budget he needs, and he gets every penny of it. We haven't cut the sheriff's budget ever since I've been on the board. So, Mr. Johnson, you're incorrect on that. Now, I will tell you, he may have trouble keeping people, but that's not because of salaries. We raised the deputy salaries in the middle of the summer last year, even before we did the new budget, because sheriff came to us and said, I need to raise my deputy salaries in the summertime, even though it's before the next budget, because I want to keep our deputies. No hesitation at all. All 5 of us voted to do that because Public safety is the most important function of government. I will also tell you, if you take a look at the sheriff's publications, Collier County is one of the safest, if not the safest county in the state, and one of the safest in the country. So anybody criticizing the sheriff's department or the county commission over public safety, they're just flat wrong.
Thank you, sir.
A lot of answers over there stole my thunder, but I will say we have the best sheriff in one of the safest counties in the world, okay? Or safest areas in the world. So with that, I would say, I've said it at the beginning, I'll say it again. Public safety and infrastructure. Those are the two most critical things that a county commissioner does. They help ensure that on behalf of the people they serve. So with that, anything that the sheriffs or the fire department or EMS, any of those, people or entities that they need money, we're going to give that to them. And again, you can look at other areas to cut the budget. I am not aware of any underreporting purposefully. I've never heard that. I think we have a very good police force and sheriff's department. I have several relatives who are on both. And again, I think they do a great job, and I would fully support them.
Thank you so much. We're going to skip question 5 because we have allowed extra time for you to answer the questions, but we want to be fair and start with the conclusion and give you each a minute to conclude and to organize your thoughts and say something that you might have missed so far. And so we will start, let's see, we started with Mr. Johnson the last time, I believe. And so we will start with Mr. Roberts with concluding thoughts.
Yes, and thank you for putting this forum on for us to get up and talk to everyone today. I'm going to spend 30 seconds on 2 points each that are important to me. And number one was kind of spoken by Father Orsi, was the abortion issue. It is on the ballot now, and you will have to take a stand on which side you are on, the side of life or the side of death. And so I am the only candidate up here that is committed to passing a sanctuary county for the unborn provision here in Collier County to protect life in Collier County. And secondly, I want a COVID-19 after action report done because that was a very difficult and dramatic moment here in the county's history. And you deserve a comprehensive report that shows, supported by studies, what worked, what did not, and what should not be done again. Because we need an informed precedent set to carry on into the future before a different pandemic comes up, whether it's 2 years from now or 200 years from now, so that we know how Collier County reacted. Thank you.
Thank you for being with us today, Commissioner.
Thank you. I also want to thank you for putting on this forum, and I'm here to ask you for your support in the upcoming election. This will be my third and last term on the county commission. I supported term limits for county commissioners, and will certainly honor that. I do want to go back to one of my opening comments. I was talking about experience matters. I've been doing things for the last 30 years to benefit the residents of Collier County and of Southwest Florida. I ran in 2016, came out of private practice after 8 years of being out of public office because the county commission was in disarray. The county had sued the clerk had sued the county. They were angry with each other. Nothing got done. And I decided I was going to leave the practice of law and run for the county commission to straighten things out on the county commission. I will tell you, we have a very functional county commission. We disagree on certain things, but we also understand that we're all there to do the best we can for this county. I've been doing that for 38 years, bouncing around from one public office to another because the voters in this community have supported me because they know that I deliver on my promises. So thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Once again, I would thank everyone for being here and thank you for inviting us to speak. One question I'm going to answer very quickly because it was asked like 5 times. I'm going to be on the ballot as Floyd Tag Yarnell. How does that come about? It was a nickname from my parents because I was the 5th of 5 children, and they said I'd have to be a tag along. So it stuck. So that's Tag. Tag has lived here since 1979. I care about Collier County. I've raised 4 sons here. I appreciate the folks. I appreciate that Mr. Saunders says he served the people of Collier County and the state of Florida for 30 plus years. Well, it's time for some fresh ideas and some fresh blood in there, and I'm that person. One thing that I do take exception to, or I would like to clarify, I am also for Collier County being a sanctuary for the unborn. So that's a misrepresentation that was just put up there. And I want to make sure my position is very clear on that. Just like I believed it should be a constitutional county. So again, please do your research. Take a look. I have my information out there. Call me. Talk to me. I'm an open book. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
First
Johnson.
of all, I'd like to thank Tag for the beating up on Saunders, so I wouldn't have to.
He started it.
And I'm used to it, so bring it on.
But again, being a businessman, I am zero sum. The budgets have to be matched. You can't spend more than you take in. I would like someday for Collier County to be like the state of Florida and have a $20 billion surplus. That's what is important, is to have a surplus. So when something happens, you have the money. You don't have to go borrow the money. I'm very fortunate that I've been in business, that I've always had surpluses. I own multiple real estates, and you know how much surplus you have to be? A roof doesn't cost $1,000 anymore. And I've got a lot of roofs that need repairing. You have to have surpluses. Do your job. Don't pay somebody to do your job. You're elected to do your job, so do it, and I will.
Thank you. We appreciate all of you being with us today and wish you the best in all of your campaigning while you're out there. And Madam President, I think that's it.
Yes, we can't have good elected officials if we don't have good candidates. Please work for them, give them money, sign their petitions. Thank you all for coming today. We really appreciate it.